Hi, welcome back to this session of Paint Tips with Jerry Yarnell right here at the Yarnell School of Fine Art. And folks, we're going to have a great time with these lessons. As you know, as always, we're going to learn a bunch. But what's neat about these specific lessons we're doing now, unlike the ones we do just only for PBS or TV, is I can be a little more specific, put a little more energy into a lot more technical things, and I can just give you a lot more information. And that's just what makes it so much fun. So I hope you've enjoyed it so far. Now remember, when you think about the word technical, you can paint the same subject over 1,000 times: rocks, trees, rivers, and if you're a landscape artist, you're going to have all those things in there. So it's not necessarily the subject that's always the issue, but it's how you apply it. Is it going to be a mountain valley, which is what we're going to work on today? Is it going to be a level playing field where you're just walking down a road and everything's kind of level? That's how most of us paint because it's easier. It's how we see it. That's how we do it most of the time, especially if you're a beginner. And so we're going to work on something today, and I got the title of this painting. It's called The Valley Beyond. It's going to be a beautiful mountain valley, and it's going to be like you're standing up kind of on a cliff or a hillside looking down into the valley. Now that's something that I have a feeling that most of you, if not almost all of you, have never done before because it's challenging. It's different, and it's not so much difficult. You just maybe haven't had anyone show you how to do it. So each of these lessons are going to be geared toward a specific technical issue. Remember, one of them we just recently did was the ocean, where we took and combined all of the movement of the major waves, a lot of action, a lot of turmoil, and to get all this stuff in there and then connect it. We use the word connectors. All of the little lines that connect so your eye flows. You got a lot of busy stuff going on here. And when you have a painting that's really busy, you have to have connectors. And it's kind of similar to what we're going to do here. Before I start this though, I'm going to talk to you about two more things. Number one, this is an 18 by 24 stretch canvas. I want you to notice it's a little saggy. Can you see it wiggling a little? All right, well, I think some of you know this, but I know a lot of you are new. If you have a canvas that's saggy, just take your Mr. bottle, wet it like this, really wet it pretty well, and just kind of evenly get it across there. You can use a brush if you want. And within seconds, that'll be as tight as a drum, and it makes painting a lot easier. So all you do is wet it real good, even it out, and now it's already tight. Got to remember, that's raw cotton on the back side, and you know what happens when water and cotton get tangled up together? The cotton shrinks. So that's a good thing. This particular underpainting color, I wanted so it was a soft, warmer, kind of a greenish gray. And if you want to know what this tint tone is, it's made out of turquoise deep, burnt umber, and white. And then you just find the value by how much white you put in it. I just wanted that for this nice tone. Now I'm going to lay out the composition. This is one of the things I want to talk to you about. To create a valley where you're looking down into it, you have to have multiple layers of land masses that overlap each other, that are in different proportion to each other. Let me give you an example. Right now we're going to have sort of a little hillside right here that goes all the way down at an extreme angle. I'm going to have a pathway that's going to come in and meander like this up into, going to go up and then kind of down, okay, like this. So it's going to like it, and it's going to have a little area right there where we're going to go over. On the back side of that, we're going to have these cliffs that stick out, giant boulders or rocks. Behind that, we're going to have some tall tips of the trees. Now, you see, this is where this is going to become a technical thing. Why would we only have the tips of the tree sticking up? Well, think about it for a minute. If you want to create the illusion of depth, like you're looking down at something, you're not going to see the tree from the bottom up. If you're standing up here, you're going to see the tip of the tree, and the rest of it's way down behind this hillside. So that'll create another illusional effect. There'll be some trees over here, the tips, not the whole tree, just the tips. Whether they be some pines, some kind of cedar, or some just regular trees, or whatever you want to call it. So now you get your little hillside that you would be standing on. This will be your valley back here. Now how do we do that? Well, we do that by multiple layers of hillsides coming in like this. And we can have a little river down in the bottom, we can have a road, you can have a stream, you can have whatever you want to in there. You can have some distant mountains or hills back here. So I'm just going to go ahead and first get these going. And then you can see now where these two overlap right here and create this little V shape. That's where your river will begin. And it will meander down in through the valley. This little stream. Doesn't have to be wide because it's going to be really small when you see it through the valley. So there it is down in the valley. These are your land masses. Now these land masses, as they come in, form a downward movement. Can you see that? So your eye will go down into this area. There'll be another land mass here, and maybe some smaller ones, you know, kind of built into that. This would be a good, maybe a big grassy meadow or something in here. Small tips of trees sticking up from behind this one. And a few small trees maybe here and there, and a few trees back here. We'll make this kind of a, I don't know where this would be. We'll just kind of make this up. It could be anywhere. It could be the Rocky Mountains. Depends on what. If you make these real jagged, it'd be more like a Rocky Mountain or something like that. Or it could be, you know, the Ozarks or someplace where they're a little more rolling, not quite so rugged. So there you have your land masses. See how they're all working together. And then this stands up. Now, the other thing that makes it look like a valley is not just the land masses, but your value system and your strength of contrast that we add. This foreground will be really rich and deep in tone. And there will be a mist between each one of these layers. If you've ever lived up, I've lived up in the mountains, and it doesn't matter what kind of mountain you live in every valley, there's almost always a little bit of a haze, especially at certain times of the day. And then as you raise up into the atmosphere, unless there's clouds in the way or something, the tones get a little richer. And from a distance, you create that hazy look. That's what you love when you see this, why they call the Smoky Mountains. Smoky Mountains, they always have that sort of hazy look, and that's what gives you the depth. So that's what we're going to concentrate on. New subject, well, basically the same type of subject in terms of trees and stuff like that, but a different application. So here we go. First step is a simple, clean, and light sky, because we're going to have multiple values. By the way, let me just quickly do this, then I'll quit talking. So we're going to have multiple layers. Value 1, sky. Value 2, value 3, getting into value 4. And then in this area right here, have value 5, value 6. And then the very foreground will be 7. There'll be at least 7 value changes. Now those are the ones that we can identify. Now there may be multiple value changes in here that are kind of in between that we can't just label. They'll just happen. So right now we're going to take a hake brush and we'll go down to our standard procedure of your gesso. Got a little too much water in there. And I'm going to gently and quickly get this in here. Just kind of paint over the top of your sketch there, because you can always re-sketch that, of course. Just a little bit of water, not too much, just enough to make it slide. And with this darker grayish greenish background, your sky will cover better. So that's why we tint. I have people all the time, especially when you're kind of new, you say, well, why do you do that? Well, you'll find out on your own. If you just start painting right on a white canvas and you're putting a dark color on, because acrylics are, for the most part, a little transparent, and most of us put too much water in it, you'll see some of the canvas showing through, and that looks odd to see the white canvas showing through in some cases. When you tint a canvas, then when you put your color on, if you see anything coming through, it doesn't show up very much, okay? So that sort of diffuses that. Boy, see how nice and just like a drum now. All right, now while that's still wet, we're going to take just a little bit of Cad Red Light. I want a soft, sort of a pink horizon. And this warmer, peachy, pinkish tone will also create a little bit of a depth issue. But you want it pretty soft. Now you can have some clouds in here if you want, but I just want to warn you, do not let your sky compete with this. So the whole point of this is to create multiple layers so that it will push back. If you put too much emphasis on the sky, it's going to come forward. So just keep it soft and simple. You can put a little more color in there if you want. I'm going to do that just a little. I think